The White Agenda, Part 1. My voice is a little bit raspy, so do forgive me for that. Now, with that being said, it is Michelle Jean from Michelle Jean Books coming back at you with another video. And as always, if you are seeking knowledge, this is where knowledge begins. Now, this lot says control. When you think of the white agenda, you have to think control. You have to think immorality, lack of moral values, sin, the devil's agenda, death, corporate greed, lies, genocide, pharmaceutical lies, financial lies, which is their banking systems, their law and laws, and more. When it comes to the white agenda, all that is unclean is given, therefore taking away all life, including the life of God, from you. So, no, the white agenda is not about cleanliness, it is about lies, their way of trapping you and bounding you to hell. Thus, death acquiring more time and or death getting more time to punish you in the realm of death, which some call hell, therefore extending the life and time of death. So the more you sin here on earth is the longer death lives in hell and or the realm of death. And this people do not know because a lot of you think that you are saved because of Jesus dying, shedding blood to save you. And like I've said in some of my books and in some of my videos, God, or the true and living God, is not Satan's bitch or death's bitch to let a child of life, his child, die to save wicked and evil people. It doesn't work that way. I will forever tell you, the person that you wronged, is the one to forgive you. God cannot forgive sins that is not done unto God. So if you wronged Mr. Thomas down the road, it is Mr. Thomas that must forgive you. You going to Mr. Thomas and say, Mr. Thomas, I'm sorry I wronged you. Can you forgive me? If Mr. Thomas says, yes, I forgive you, then that sin is taken off your sin record because Mr. Thomas forgave you. If Mr. Thomas did not forgive you, that sin stay on your sin record for life and death, meaning it stays on your sin record until your spirit shed the flesh. And that, if you have more, when you die, you will know how much time you have to spend in hell for that particular sin, because a lot of you guys do not know the different sin penalties that are out there that is associated for the different sins. And I should not say that is out there, but each sin comes at a cost. There is a sin penalty associated with each sin that you do. And a lot of you do not know that. So when your pastor or priest are saying your sins are forgiven, or you doing Hail Marys and stuff like that, that is a categorical lie. The person you wronged have to forgive you for that sin to be taken off your sin record. Like I said, if you're not forgiven of that sin stay on your sin record as unforgiven. Onwards I go. This lot says Satan and his children. As humans, we face many challenges: the eroding of society, the destruction of earth, religious genocide, nuclear war, and more. Here on earth, many things is based on race. The hate humans have for each other based on, the different doctrines of the different colonizers and or your so-called Holy Bible that categorically lie on the true and living God. You know, yes, their enmity, strife, lies, they put in their book of lies, thievery, psychological brainwashing, their superiority complex, and more. So those that say or are within your book of Genesis, they tell you that God put enmity between Satan's seed and his seed, and that is a categorical lie, because God, the true and living God, do not know Satan's children and people. God cannot save Satan's children and people. They are literally doomed. God know them not. So for them to say that, whomever, those that wrote the Bible lied. So we know that Satan's children and people are master liars. If they can, for them, even for them to lie on the true and living God, you know just how deceitful and lying these people are. These people are not of life, they are of death. So here on earth, death is alive, truly alive. Therefore, many live to die instead of living to live. In order for you to have life, you have to live good and true. If you don't live good and true, you have no life whatsoever. You know, Right now, globally, everyone has and have accepted the lies of the devil's children and people, thus dividing all inhumanity based on race, the prison and or cages they give you to live and die in, as well as die by. Humans are their bargaining tool, hence virtually all in humanity bow down to death and truly do not know it. You know, Going back again, as just to repeat myself, like when you think of the white agenda, you have to think control. You have to think of their lies, because this race, those that wrote the Bible, literally lied on the true and living God. So therefore, they are cursed. So when you believe in the Bible, to say that is the word of the true and living God, you are literally cursing yourself, and the true and living God walk away from you, literally walk away from you. So the Bible of man that we have is not of the true and living God. It is death's book. This book bounds you to hell. It takes God from you. It also takes your life from you. It curses you as well. So greed. Oh my gosh. Greed is also a part of the white agenda. Manipulation, power, their unjust laws, hate, racism, you know, power, religious lies and divide, God lies and divide, the total destruction of earth, humans, all life here on earth for that matter. You have to think about moral decay, psychological brainwashing, and more. you know so as humans, we have to ask ourselves, when does it stop? When do we as humans see the truth? When do we as humans break away from lies and live by the truth of God? We know the devil do not want to give up control of this earth. Oh my gosh, they will do every and anything by any means necessary to keep control of earth. We know the devil do not want to give up his possessions and power here on earth. We know the devil do not like those who are of life, because the devil hath no life or life to give. And I will repeat, we know the devil, including their children, just to add that in, do not like those who are of life. With those who are of life is God's children and people, because the devil hath no life or life to give. We know the devil and his children and people have continuously lied and deceived, or they sorry, we know the devil and his children and people have to continuously lie and deceive day in and day out to keep control of earth, as well as keep humans, no matter the race and gender, believing in their lies. We know the devil and his children and people must kill and do kill to keep death alive here on earth as well as in the spiritual realm. All this some of us know, or we are to know. But as humans, we still believe in their lies, the lies of the devil's children. We accept their lies and we refuse to break away from the lies they have given us. So, as humans, you have to think of God. You literally have to think of God in your day to day life. Okay, next slide. This slide says Satan lies, and in there it says, Holy Bible, the agents and masters of death, the agents and masters of deception, the agents and masters of lies, and more. Now, as humans, you have to ask yourself, if God gave us commandments to live by, why would God break his commandments with his prophets? Does that make any sense? If God know that you are nasty, erasing people is not his. They are categorical liars. They are Satan's children and people. Why would God go to Satan's children and people and say, write me a book? No book on the face of this planet is holy, because books are written by unclean people. They are not clean. The Bible was never meant to save you. It was meant to bound you in hell, as well as take your life, as well as the life of God from you. And this, as humans, we truly do not know. So we know the devil, Satan, and his children will forever, ever lie on God. And this is evident in their book, so-called Holy Bible. So nastiness for these people is holy, it's clean for them. And this is what you as humans are not seeing. Their holiness is uncleanliness, it is not of God. Evil cannot give you anything clean. All evil can do is give you all that is dirty. And this is what these people did. They've given you everything that is dirty and tell you it's holy, it's of God. And you as humans do not question these people, question the legitimacy of them, even question God and say, God, why would you give nasty people the right to write your book? Does it make sense? So if you are one that truly loves God, question God and the legitimacy of these people. Further, in all that the devil and his children do, they must ensure you break every law of life so that God walk away from you, take your name out of the book of life and put it in the book of death. I will repeat. Further, in all that the devil and his children do, they must ensure you break every law of life so that God walk away from you, take your name out of the book of life and put it in the book of death. So with you believing in the nastiness of the Bible, God has already walked away from you. You are not saved. God has literally taken your name out of the book of life and put it into the book of death because you believe all that is nasty of God. So therefore, you are breaking the cleanliness law of God. God cannot give you anything unclean. God can only give you all that is clean. And this is what humans globally fail to see and fail to realize, you know? And like this, when you going back and say, when you break, like the devil must ensure that you break every law of life. This is evident until this day, including tomorrow, because humans go against God, break every law of God life. When we as humans break the law and laws of God, God walk away from us. Thus, you, the individual, committing a grave and unrighteous, including unlawful sin. When we break every law of life, we damage and or make ourselves unclean and unholy in the sight and or eyes of God. I repeat, when we break every law of life, we damage and or make ourselves unclean and unholy in the sight and or eyes of God. And this a lot of you do not know. Now, if you were to go and read the devil's book, which is their so-called Holy Bible, and um, how he was like excuse me, the devil's book tells you how they were going to deceive humans. You know, you will see that the devil did that when it came to the story of Adam and Eve in Genesis. When you believe in the Genesis just means the genes is, which is the genes of man. The devil was going to ensure that evil came through the genes of man. And so said, so done. You know, also, um, if you were to look at the story of Adam and Eve, where it says God took a rib from Adam to make Eve, and God would never ever take a rib from a man to make a woman. That is so wrong. That is so false, and that's a lie. Now, going back to Adam and Eve, if God took a rib from Adam to get Eve, that would mean that Adam is Eve's father. And after God doing that, God allowed father to shag and or procreate with his own daughter. So right there and then, you as a human that believe in this book is saying that God formed man or made the population of man or humans come through incest, because Adam and Eve's story is an incestual thing within the devil's community, or with the devil and or with Satan's children. All that is unclean is holy. So therefore they give you all that is unclean for you to believe that God did this so that God can, well, death will punish you, and death is going to punish you, and so that God will take your name out of the book of life and put it into the book of death, so that death, which is Satan's children's God, will have more time to live. So because the story of Adam and Eve is a categorical lie when it comes to the truth of Satan as well, and the lies of his deceivers people. While when it comes to the lies of men, thus religion, the spread of religion and their religious lies that billions believe in and accept, no matter the religious sect and or denomination, including race and gender, you are taken away from your life. So once you accept this and you baptize your, like they talk about baptism, and once you baptize your children, you're baptizing your children in death. So basically, baptism means you're giving your children over to death. And if your children have children and baptize their children, that means those children belong to death. You cannot baptize your children in death. You have to give your children life, you know? And this, a lot of you truly do not know. Onwards, I go to the next slot. This slot says nastiness, and my voice is going, people, so do forgive me. Um, in order for the devil to stay alive, you have to continually believe in their lies as well as participate in their lies. Death do not want to die. Thus, it's humans that feed death, make death rich off them due to sin and your sin and sins. Sins are debts payable to death. Therefore, humans have and has racked up incalculable amounts of debt with death here on earth. So, yes, it's humans that sustain and maintain death with their sins. Sins we as humans do daily, day in and day out. Death do not want to die, but eventually death must die, just as humans, those who belong to death. Those who have sacrificed or made sacrifices unto death, those who have bowed down to death, all must die. Satan is a pathological liar. We know this. Therefore, his children and people are agents and masters of death, agents and masters of deception, the agents and masters of lies, and more. And this humans fail to see. So, all that is happening to humans here on earth has absolutely nothing to do with God. It has all to do with humans preserving death, maintaining death, believing in lies, which is death, doing the bidding of death, and more. Yes, perilous times are here on earth. Thus, the devil told you in their book what they were going to do to humans, how they were going to achieve their goals by lying on God. They were going to get you guys to kill, bow down to different gods, even though they say God said, "Thou shalt not have other gods before you, thou shalt not kill." But they said that God told his prophets, and you guys believe that God has prophets. God has no prophets. God has messengers who he chooses to tell you about him. And God would never ever go to Satan's children and people and tell them to say anything about him because, like I said, God know them not. So, the goal of Satan's children and people is death. It is so death. Death on earth, well, death of flesh is not the death of spirit, but it's the death of spirit. Your spirit, that energy inside of you, is the one that has to pay the penalty for all the sins you do here on earth. And as humans, it's time we start heeding and taking notice, doing that which is right, that which is of God. But a lot of you, especially those in the black race, will refuse to listen, refuse to know, and refuse to heed. Thus, their so called Holy Bible, which is the book of death, has and have become sacred to humans no matter the race and gender. So, because of this, God cannot save humans because humans did make death their God and choice over life and over all that is good and clean. True. So, a lot of you guys say, well, you're of this religious faith and this religious belief. You're not saved. You are not saved. Onwards, I go to the next slide. This slide says total destruction. So the nastiness humans believe in is the nastiness they become. You know, so as humans believe in lies, they have become liars also. So as humans bow down to death, they have become dead also. Life is not death. Life is life, and death is death. No one unclean can enter the realm and abode of God. Therefore, billions are locked out of the realm and abode of God. So, yes, death, in the truest of sense, too, death is the protector of life because death ensures no one, absolutely no one, that is of death can go up to see God. They have to go down to hell where they must serve their time for their sins, then eventually die, expire, and are be no more. So for all those who have wrote the Bible, um, they cannot go up to see God. They cannot. Satan's children cannot go up. Listen, evil is just for a time, but with evil, it is total destruction. Yeah, including the total destruction of you, all as well as all God's work here on earth. So if evil cannot have it, they were going to ensure God could not have it also. Thus the lies of religion and getting every human to go against God and the law and laws of life. Evil care not for you, or evil care not for your life, because evil cannot care. Evil is cold blooded murderers. That's the different wars of men and women over the years and centuries, the killing sprees of many humans right now and more. Evil have to kill to sustain and maintain death. Thus, the children and people of death kill without remorse. So when you break all the laws of God, or the laws of life, life is taken from you. And we can't blame God for this, because God specifically tell us we are not supposed to do certain things. We are to live clean. Like I said, each sin that you commit come at a cost, and that cost is your life, your physical life as well as your spiritual life. But the worst of it is going to come spiritually, because it is your spirit that must pay the penalty for the different sins that you do here on earth. And with my voice going, I am going to leave this video as is. I know it's a little bit out there, up and down, but I can't help it. Hopefully, in part two, I will do a better job of explaining the white agenda to you. So, with that being said, please like this video, share it, subscribe to my channel if you can. And as always, you don't have to, you're not obligated to subscribe to my channel, but it would be a blessing and a joy if you would. Also, comment. Please comment and turn on your notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you are notified. So, bye for now, everyone, as my voice is so going. Take care.